visors coming close.
Yo, what's up, guys? I guess we're live.
Yep. Everything
All right,
good.
the countdown clock is continuing to tick. My heart is continuing to beat 5 million beats a second, and we are getting so close.
SpaceX Dragon in 7.2. Visors are closed. We're arming launch escape system.
Fuel bleed is complete.
Copy.
You guys can
As you
see
just-
on
As you
the
just
right
heard,
bottom
the
is the
crew
mission
is
control view.
arming the launch escape system. That is one of the absolute last big milestones prior to liftoff, other than nominal Falcon operations.
So just a minute ago, we saw the crew access arm retract, and obviously we just heard on the comms Bob and Doug getting ready to arm the launch escape system, and so that is something that protects them all the way to orbit. So when fueling starts at about T-minus 35 minutes, so just over 6 minutes from now, they will have the capability to abort, to separate from Falcon 9 either on the pad or even after liftoff. That's a critical safety capability.
Yep.
And we are going to go over to Hawthorne now to take us through these next minutes. Jesse?
Service section, switch in to nitrogen. Switch in to nitrogen.
We did hear that call out that they are arming the launch escape system, so very exciting. SpaceX has designed Crew Dragon and Falcon 9 to be the safest launch system ever flown. So we brought back Nick Piccone, SpaceX's Nick Piccone, to talk more about this again. Thanks for coming back and joining us today, Nick.
Hey, Jesse. Happy to be here. Still monitoring the launch here with our recovery and ground operations teams.
Awesome. And Nick was our mission manager for our in-flight abort test earlier this year and now works on the Starlink team. Nick, on Wednesday, you talked about the launch escape system. Could you just give us a brief summary today for those that are joining today?
Sure. So the launch escape system, again, is our ultimate safety feature to keep Bob and Doug safe in the event of a major Falcon anomaly on the pad. The system is designed to automatically fire if either vehicle detects a dangerous condition developing. And if that happens, Dragon will use its 8 Super Draco engines to push the capsule off and away to a safe distance away from this Falcon. This capability is absolutely critical. It's what keeps the crew safe, and we're now active and armed on the pad with it protecting the crew.
And as you mentioned, the launch escape system allows the Dragon to separate and get away from the vehicle. I believe it goes into the ocean. What happens after it lands safely in the ocean?
Correct. So for most of our failure modes, the successful end state is Dragon deploying parachutes, splashing down safely in the ocean. But since a launch escape can happen while the vehicle's on the pad or anywhere in flight up through orbit, it could be splashing down right off the coast of Cape Canaveral. It could be splashing down thousands of miles away in the North Atlantic. If that happens, to make sure we can get to Bob and Doug as quickly as possible, the Space Force's 45th Space Wing, Task Force 45, has pararescue teams staged and ready all around the world, ready to drop in and rescue Bob and Doug as soon as possible.
Okay, so let me fill in for something here. One of the criteria for not postponing the last launch was the DAEZ, or the Dragon Abort Exclusive Zone. So this zone is actually very important for monitoring, the weather in Atlantic, and as the weather in Atlantic changes, you cannot abort Dragon capsule, above a rough sea, because you cannot recover the astronauts from there, and that's, again, there's no point in recovering them then. So this abort system is actually really special for, reasons we all know, because the Draco boosters and all. So a small update. So at T-minus 42, we had the crew arm retracting and the doors are locked. The astronauts are secure inside. So pretty much we go from for now. And at T-minus 35, we're gonna have the propellant loading beginning. So stay tuned for that. In 2 minutes, we're gonna have propellant loading starting. And actually the fuel and liquid oxygen, loads quite quickly. And the interesting thing is that you don't see any white fumes coming from the rocket. and after it has started filling with liquid oxygen, or LOX as we call it, you will see those white fumes, and that's condensation. That's not smoke, that's condensation. So as you see condensation, you can say that the rocket has now started filling. That's a really interesting observation everyone can make. Yep, so now we've started filling. You know what, I can get another view of the rocket. Yep, I can get another view. Yep.
While they're still in the water, as well as those helicopter evacuations taking off and landing from the pad many times, so that we make sure the team is ready to do that. They're all staged and ready. They feel ready to support, and will be ready to call on us if anything goes wrong today.
Awesome. It sounds like Bob and Doug are in some really good hands and will be safe no matter what occurs on the vehicle. So thank you, Nick, for joining us again, for walking us through all of those details. I hope you're just as excited as we are for a launch coming up here very, very shortly now. So we're going to send it over to KSC to Lauren.
Sounds like our space center.
Thank you, Jesse. So as you just heard, fueling is about to begin at T-minus 35 minutes. We are about 50 seconds away from that. And so we're getting really, really close to the first launch of astronauts into orbit from American soil since 2011.
Yeah.
The launch escape system is armed, which, as you know, happens before fueling. And Dragon propellant load, that's the propellants that are inside of the Dragon capsule, not the rocket.
Let's wait.
Prop load for Dragon took place weeks ago and just a few miles down the road in what we call Dragonland. And those propellants, they are MMH, or monomethyl hydrazine, which is the fuel that we use. It's hypergolic fuel. And NTO, or nitrogen tetraoxide, that's the oxidizer. Those two come together and they ignite in space to propel the vehicle. You don't need that TTEB or a third thing to ignite, because hypergolic propellants don't require it. You just need the fuel and the oxidizer. And as you just heard, propellant load has started on Falcon 9, and that's awesome. All right, so that bipropellant system feeds all of the engines on Dragon. So Dragon has 12 service section engines in each, so there's 3 in each quad, 3, 3, 3, and 3. Those are used for on-orbit maneuvering for Dragon. There's also 4 additional Dracos that are underneath the nose cone for large Delta V maneuvers that the vehicle will perform. But the engines that Nick Picone was talking about earlier are Super Draco engines. We have 2 in each quad of the vehicle, so 8 total. And those are bigger engines with a high flow propellant system, and those are what lift Dragon off of Falcon 9 in the unlikely event of emergency that requires us to get off of Dragon, off of Falcon. Now, you probably remember, let's see, Mercury, Apollo, Soyuz, they have that big pointy tower on top. That's the launch escape system for those vehicles. It's actually just another rocket on top of the spaceship that lifts the vehicle off. In the case of Dragon, our escape system is integrated into the vehicle completely. And so that's just better from one less thing you have to jettison every single flight. But it also allows us to have escape capability from the pad before T0 all the way through to orbit. And so even if the very last minute, if we needed to get off of stage 2 while we're in space, we could actually escape to orbit. So yeah, that's the escape system for little baby Dragon here.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks for walking us through that, because I think it's really important that people understand that critical safety capability, and that's the whole point when we hear that launch escape system is armed. What that means is that in an instant, they can separate from Falcon 9, shoot up into the air, and they can splash down safely in the Atlantic Ocean under Dragon's parachutes. And it was designed to do that. So now that fueling is underway, it's been going on for about 2 minutes now. So they have that safety capability ready to go on standby in an instant if they need it. And so we want to go over to Hawthorne now for an operational update from John Innsbrucker. John?
Fuel and stage 2 fuel, all flow rates tracking nominally.
Yep, so we have finally the fuel and liquid oxygen getting loaded nominally.
Build up on the rocket as they begin loading up the cryogenics.
So there we have another angle on the rocket. As I promised, multiple angles. Yeah, I'm not sure that. Alright. So
We're
we
T-minus
pretty
32
much have
minutes
a good
counting
sign
down.
now.
These final minutes, everything's still looking good for Falcon 9 and Dragon for an on-time launch. Falcon 9 did begin propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes at planned. Now on the Falcon 9, we use a fuel and oxidizer as the propellants that power it. The fuel is commonly known as RP1. That's rocket propellant grade 1 kerosene. The oxidizer is densified liquid oxygen, also called LOX. Densified means it is kept much colder than typical for launch vehicles. This allows for more oxidizer to be loaded into the first and second stages. Now with the fuel and oxidizer on hand, we need an ignition source to complete that fire triangle, as we call it. For this, Falcon 9 uses a fluid called TTUB. It ignites in the presence of oxygen and gives off a green-colored flame. Now it's hard to see on the first stage ignition due to the water that'll be spraying on the pad, but you might just see the green flare as the second stage engine ignites following stage separation over 2.5 minutes into flight. Now currently first stage fuel tank is about 10% full. The first stage, as a reminder, as you look on the left side of your screens, the first stage is the long white cylinder at the bottom, topped off by the black cylinder. So over 2/3 of the rocket is that first stage. So the fuel tank is getting loaded. We're also loading the liquid oxygen into the first stage also. The second stage, which is the top 1/3 between the Dragon and the black cylinder, that's the white second stage, that is being loaded with fuel right now. That's about 8% loaded at this moment. Liquid oxygen loading is going to begin on second stage at T-minus 16 minutes 30 seconds. Liquid oxygen loading will continue on both stages all the way down to the last few minutes of the count. We're also loading helium into pressure vessels on the stages. That's used to pressurize tanks in flight as the propellant is pulled out by the strong Merlin turbopumps. On board the Dragon spacecraft, astronauts are monitoring.
So if you observe carefully now, the fumes, like, why do I even care to? So if you observe carefully, you can see the fumes coming. Wait, I don't have that lag, they do. The live counter isn't moving. Hold on. What the? That's not good. Not good. I hope to get good internet, and it's there, but yep. It should be all right now. Yep, I guess that's good. So guys, there's a chatter in the live chat. Come on, you guys can go on. If you guys have any question, I can answer that. We're getting really close to the launch now. Yep.
So we are at T minus 26, and wait, I guess my clock is a bit off, right? My clock is a bit off, yeah. So we are currently filling the rocket with liquid oxygen and fuel, and as we go on, you're gonna see condensation around the first stage of the rocket, and as the second stage starts filling around T minus 16 minutes, the condensation is also going to start on the second stage, and then that it's actually being filled with liquid oxygen and fuel. And currently we're just monitoring the systems as fueling takes place, and shortly we'll have the go no go again before the second stage starts being filled. And then if everything's all right, and so far I guess as you can see the winds are not too high, it's a go.
Closing of the nose cone, a deorbit burn, and then eventually as they get into the atmosphere, the deployment of the drogue and the main parachutes, and all of that ends with splashdown right off the Florida coast. At that point, teams...
Yep, so an interesting thing about this is that Dragon actually does not use the same system for docking as the Soyuz. The reason being that Dragon actually has, all access control of itself, so it does not need the Canadarm to connect it to the space station. And you can go to ISS/ISS-SpaceX.sim.com, and there you can actually see the interface which the astronauts use while docking with the ISS. Wait, since there's nothing actually happening here, I can, I guess, show it to you. And if you can, please share it with anyone you know. I'm constantly tweeting it out. Yep, I don't really care that much about that stream. It's loading. Take some time. Yep, it's taking a lot of time to load up, and I'm gonna let it go. Let's check back on the stream, but now you know the link.
Hey Marie, I mean, you're completely right. Now that we have that go for launch, people are on the edge of their seat right now waiting on this historic moment to take flight. As you can see, photos are still coming in.
Dang it.
Of just everyone around the country showing their excitement for this launch, and it's really been a touching thing to see how everyone's kept this excitement going.
But anyways, on phones it is 480p now, so who cares? I guess.
Let's take a look at numbers. Watching humans lift off to space from the United States, and it's just going to be a super emotional moment. For that, Marie, back to you at Kennedy for these last minutes before launch.
All right, thanks Tahira. And Leland, we got 23 minutes and some change to go. What do you think Bob and Doug are feeling right now?
I think, they're very calm, cool, and collected as test pilots, but I think they're thinking about what are the steps that I have to take if a malfunction or something happens. And so the nominal stuff is all kind of automated, but if something happens where they have to intervene with those touch screens, that's what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm. And we're just inside 23 minutes now. So on Wednesday, we were 5 minutes further in the countdown when we heard that call to scrub, and the weather was still very touch and go at this point on Wednesday. But today, at least for right now, I don't want to jinx it. I'm afraid to even say it out loud, but it looks better today.
Yeah, and it feels
right
like
I have
I'm feeling it a lot more than I
Yeah.
did
See,
on
like,
Wednesday.
look at it.
And
The
you know, speaking
condensation
of
is
Bob and
slowly
Doug
increasing.
and them being really
It's going
calm
up,
and
right?
cool and
So
collected,
that means
having
the
had
rocket
the
is actually
opportunity
filling with liquid
to be in
oxygen
meetings
fuel.
with them and to watch them train, I have to say, and to all of
And
my
as
friends
it
who
keeps
work
on
with them
filling,
every
the
single day,
condensation is
the
going to
feedback
cover
is
the
always
entire
just
body of
what
the
great
rocket.
people they are,
Right.
and just how not just bright and sharp they are, but just good people.
Right.
And around the office, we often refer to them as the dads.
The
And
dads? Why
They're
is
the
that?
dads. They're dads. They are dads,
Okay.
and we've met their families. And when you
All
when
those
you
people
when
are
you
so
see
lucky.
people on that
Look
very
out.
personal level, it starts to mean so much. They
Right.
are a part of our team. You know, they're not a customer. They're our team. They're not a payload. They're our
Right.
team. They're
Yeah.
our family. And so we're just so excited to see the dads up there today.
Yeah. Go
And-
dads.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go send it over to Gary for an update from Houston. Gary?
Hey Marie, the space station team here is focused. All eyes are on the system checks that are happening across the board, and we're listening in as we close in on launch, and I can tell you that things are looking very good. Chris Cassidy will be watching from the International Space Station, right
you
now
can
flying over
basically
the
watch the
Pacific
mission
Ocean and
control
heading
from a
to
screen.
cross
What
right
else
over the
you
launch pad.
want?
We might even get some good views from the station. Hope to be capturing those. We'll have the launch view and the big screen up front, and everyone's excited to see our 2 crew members on their way to the International Space
what's up?
Station. But before we get to it, I just want to pass on good luck from the entire flight operations community here in Houston. It's always exciting to be doing something wholly new and history-making with station operations, and we can't wait to see our team members Bob and Doug in low Earth orbit and heading to the International Space Station. That's it from us here in Mission Control Houston. I'll send it back over to the team in Hawthorne for the latest happening there. John.
T-minus 20 minutes, 30 seconds. We're
Strong
continuing
back
to
shield,
count down. Everything is still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon. 22 minutes, 45 seconds after the hour.
Stage
Right
2
now on the
RP1
right-hand
mode is complete.
side, you can see a large white cloud coming off of the strongback. That is normal. As we get ready to load the second stage with liquid oxygen, we have to chill in the plumbing
Now
lines
you can see
going
like,
up that
the
strongback.
whole first stage is
And so as we
just
relieve
fuming
pressure, the
with
moist,
condensation.
humid Florida
And
air
that's a sign, that's
condenses
a good
around
sign that
it,
the rocket
and
is
that gives you the
almost
cloud.
filled
So
now
that tells us that
with
things
fuel
are
and liquid
actually
oxygen.
on schedule.
And I guess
We did begin propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes. Fuel loading on the second stage, I believe we just heard the call out that it is complete. First stage fuel load is continuing, and right now that's a little more than, that's about 60% of the way full. So things
I
are
don't
looking
get it.
good. Second
They're
stage
supposed to start
is
loading the second
getting
stage
ready
with
to
fuel
begin the
logs
liquid
at T-minus
oxygen
16.
loading. After they finish chilling in the
John is
lines that you
perhaps
see on the
wrong, but if he
monitor,
is,
they'll begin the load at T-minus
he might be
16
because
minutes and 30
as you can
seconds.
see, the second stage is not fuming.
The range right now is
The
go,
black thing,
ready
that's
to
the
support.
stage.
Weather continues
the
to be go.
part that connects the
So
stage,
as we
the
inch
first
our
stage
way
and the second
closer,
stage.
we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're waiting to hear if anybody calls out an issue, but for the moment, as you can see on the screen, it looks good. Now on the Dragon
guess you guys
Tide,
have
the
the-
Dragon mission director and the team there are reporting no issues. They've done their communications checkouts. The crew access arm, as you can see, is retracted away from the spacecraft. The crew is strapped in and they are ready to go.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
final instructions will be going to the crew at T-minus 10 minutes.
Yeah, everyone's a pro
The
here,
crew
man.
displays will be configured
We're
for
flow
launch.
gang.
And that setup will give astronauts Bob Behnken and
Flow
Doug
gang,
Hurley
guys.
insight into how the launch is proceeding and provides constant updates on vehicle health. We've already heard the crew give their go, close their visors, and get ready for launch. For Dragon, it'll enter terminal count at T-minus 5 minutes. When it transitions to internal power, we'll hear continued callouts on the countdown net as we get close to 0 and to liftoff. But right now, at T-minus 18 minutes, 15 seconds, everything continues to
Hey,
be
what's
go
up?
for an on-time launch. So Dan, Jesse, things are looking pretty good. How are they doing over at your stand?
Things are great from about 15 feet away from you, John I, and honestly, things are looking pretty great down at the pad there. We're seeing a lot more blue in the sky. Green is the color we want when we're talking about weather, and that's where we're sitting right now. So we're continuing to count down. We are under 18 minutes away from liftoff. Again, it's an instantaneous liftoff at
like really good.
It's going to be 12:22 and 45 seconds here on the West Coast, 3:22 and 45 seconds over on the East Coast there in Florida. Just a reminder, it's going to be about a 9-minute ride up to orbit for the Falcon 9 and Bob and Doug on board Dragon. It'll be a 2-stage flight, so we'll see the first stage fly until we hear MECO, or main engine cutoff, about 2.5 minutes into flight. After that, the second stage will take over and continue to power them the rest of the way. Second engine cutoff comes in just under 9 minutes at about 8 minutes and 44 seconds. Following that second stage completing its job, it'll continue to coast for about 3 minutes. It'll do a slight attitude adjustment and null out any rate, so make sure it's not in any kind of a spin before they do separation. So that's when the Dragon spacecraft will physically separate from the Falcon 9 vehicle, and Bob and Doug will be flying free. It's about a 19-hour ride
like
if we
this
land on time. So that means Bob and
you
Doug will
want
get
that,
on
but
orbit. They'll have
this.
a number of burns or those firings of
I
those
guess it's
Draco
better now, right?
thrusters that they'll do.
Yeah, it should be.
Over
Stage 2 LOX load started.
We hear the LOX, the liquid oxygen load has now started.
Yep,
on
you can
stage
live
2.
chat, dude. Don't need to
But
call.
again, they're going to be doing a series of burns on the way uphill towards the International Space Station 5, spread out over the first 16 hours or so of their flight until they get much closer, and it's time for that approach and docking. And we are expecting that with an on-time launch to happen today. That'll be coming tomorrow in the afternoon.
Is it better now, guys? The mic?
All right, now that we're under 16 minutes away, we have a special guest joining us. I'm going to toss it over to Jesse.
Throw it
We
at him.
are T-minus 15 minutes and 45 seconds from liftoff of our second demonstration mission today, and we have the honor of having SpaceX's President and COO, Gwen Shotwell, join us. Thanks, Gwen, for coming out and taking a few minutes to chat with us.
Thanks, Jesse.
We know you've been on console. How's the countdown been going so far in there?
Countdown is clean today, just like it was Wednesday. We did clear the weather hurdles sooner than we did on Wednesday. And the only thing we're watching right now is downrange weather and lightning at the staging location.
How?
Of course.
But
How
we will
is
clear
it
that hurdle at T-minus 7 minutes.
Awesome, great, very exciting. Now I'm going to throw it back
Oh,
to
it was-
2012 because
It was in silent mode, bro. Silent.
it's compared to
Stage
today.
2 LOX is on the DPUs
So
and
I
Floyd
was
Dragon
nervous
Envoy.
then. I stopped getting nervous for launches. Today I'm nervous again. Super nervous. Stomach and throat.
Understandable.
No, it's a fantastic day today. I'm really excited. The team is pulled together. It's such a professional operation. And when I say team, by the way, I mean SpaceX and NASA. These folks have been working incredibly hard and have done a fantastic job.
Yep.
Yes, and we are all so excited. And we know that you have to get back inside of mission control, but is there anything that you wanted to say before liftoff to NASA and SpaceX?
Well, I want to thank NASA, of course, for their
In 7 minutes,
generosity
the engine
and
is
their
chilling.
help with getting to this
We're gonna
place.
begin the
I want to
engine
thank
chill.
all the SpaceXers who have come together to make this moment in history. And I want to thank Elon for hiring me.
We thank Elon for hiring you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to mission
That's
control.
the most buttery thing to say to your
and
boss.
good luck with launch today.
Thanks, Jesse, and Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
Well, we are so excited. We are just a few minutes away from countdown, so we are going to turn it over to Dan and John for the final minutes in terminal count. Take it away, John.
T-minus 13 minutes, 30 seconds, continuing to count down. We're continuing to load fuel onto the first stage. That should finish up in just about 6
told you.
minutes.
The second stage
Fuel
begins
is completely
T-minus
loaded
16. That
on
guy
the
was
second
telling the
stage.
second
That's
stage is
closed
finished.
out. And we
Loading.
are continuing to load
It's
liquid
soon.
oxygen on both the first and second stage. The liquid oxygen load beginning on the second stage just about 3.5 minutes ago. We are also loading cryogenic helium into the storage vessels on the first and second stage, getting in the last little bits of helium when we keep it cryogenic, cold and liquefied. That gets us, just like we do with liquid oxygen, the maximum amount into the storage volume so that we can get the most performance out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Right now, we are in a fairly quiet state on the vehicle. Ground pumps continuing to put the propellant in to first and second stages.
Like I said, now the second stage is fuming. That fuming, like if someone's showing now, that fuming tells you till how much has the rocket been. Wait. Hold on. Okay, that was my room. Okay, so the second stage is now fuming, all right, and it wasn't before. That means now it is chilled. You know, it's being filled with liquid oxygen. That's really cold, and that's why there's condensation. And to the level there's condensation, till that level the rocket has been filled with liquid oxygen. You know, a little bit observation you can make while watching a launch to observe till where the rocket has been filled with fuel.
There will be what we call performance calls over the Dragon to ground the entire way uphill, and you'll just hear some of the SpaceX engineers calling out trajectories and booster performance. So we're always looking for that word nominal. I know that's one of John's favorite words. That's one of mine too. We want to hear nominal as much as possible up on the way uphill. You might also hear some number and letter combinations, and those correspond to the different abort zones that Bob and Doug are in during their flight uphill. There's 1A and 1B, which signify that they're on the first stage. Those carry them from there in the Cape all the way up to about the very top of North Carolina. And then we'll have 2A through 2E or 2 Echo, and that will be on the second stage, and that goes from North Carolina all the way up to about the tip of Newfoundland, so in the northern Atlantic. And then there is a zone of the northern Atlantic that we're going to avoid, and so you should hear the call out.
Yes, this is a very interesting part. You know, the route which that guy is telling is actually really historical, since the thing was that for the ISS to be international, it needed to be accessible from different ports. So intentionally there were two ports, Baikonur and KSC, and the orbital inclination of 51.6 degrees has been made such that Baikonur and KSC both can launch rockets on the trajectory. All right, so the being on top of North Carolina, then northern Finland, is actually really iconic. If you think about it, that route was the dopest international deal ever, according to me. Yeah.
Bob, Doug, on behalf of the entire SpaceX team, it's been a huge honor to help you get ready for today's historic mission. Know that we're with you, have an amazing flight, and enjoy those views of our beautiful planet.
Yeah, they're going to enjoy.
Thanks, Jay. It is absolutely our honor to be part of this huge effort to get the United States back in the launch business.
Sign 37 is 3 by 5.
We'll talk to you from orbit. Thank you.
I didn't see the chat.
Copy all. Thanks for those words.
The SpaceX core. So again, that voice is going to be talking to Bob and Doug throughout their mission from right here in Hawthorne. Just offering a few quick words. The crew did confirm their crew displays are configured for launch.
Look.
We are coming up on 9 minutes and counting.
I answered it before you could say that, right? I know the value.
Crew discussions. Activity is now going to switch over to Falcon 9. Our next major event comes at T-minus 7 minutes. We begin what we call engine chill. Pre-valves will open. Those currently separate propellants on the first stage from getting down to the Merlin engines. We'll open the pre-valves. That allowed fuel liquid oxygen to flow to the top of the pumps.
Pleasure.
And more importantly, when we open the valves, that allow us to begin chilling the 9 Merlin 1D turbopumps on the first stage engine. It'll take a few minutes to get them cold enough to where they would then be ready to pass the large amounts of liquid oxygen through the pumps and into the main thrust chambers when we get to engine ignition at T-minus 2 seconds. We don't want to try to...
At T-minus 7 minutes, the engine is literally going to be chilling, alright? We're going to begin engine chill at T-minus 7. And you guys are doing maths homework. That's great.
Shortly after that, we will also get the fuel shutdown.
Begin music. Engine chill begins. Begin music. Should I? Wait, I
Listening
have
to
an
the
idea.
SpaceX launch director in the background
It's
there.
like literally
As I mentioned, at
a
T
bit
minus
weird,
7
but
minutes as we start
let's
the
see.
chill, we will also get into the final topping off of stage 1 fuel, and then the fuel load will complete.
Wait, what? Yep. Nothing better to do than watch humans sit atop a boom boom device that's about to go boom boom and send them up into space.
Stage 1
Yep, right?
and Stage 2 engine chill has
Amazing.
started.
We've heard the call out. Stage 1 engine chill has started. That's gone up to the crew so that they've
Engine
got
started
situational
chilling.
awareness. As I mentioned, the pre-valves are open. And
Wait,
now
wait,
we are topping
what
off
lag? Nope,
for
there's
stage
no lag.
fuel,
Engine
getting ready to
hydraulics at
finish
pressure.
the fuel load. Liquid oxygen
no
load
lag.
on first and second
Engine
stage
hydraulics at pressure.
will
What are
continue
you talking
until
about?
the last 3 to 2 minutes of the countdown.
You mean the stream delay?
We should hear that call out RP1
Yep.
load complete coming up in
mean the
about
stream
6
delay?
minutes. Again, RP1 is just that densified kerosene or that rocket fuel that Falcon 9 is going to be used to power Bob and Doug to orbit today.
Wait, Krish, who is Rishit
And Stage
Purbe?
1 fuel is closed out.
I read it at something
And
else
Stage 1 fuel is closed
initially,
out.
but never mind.
Right on time. That call out indicates that the fuel
What
loading
lag?
on the first stage
What lag?
is complete. Draining back
What
the lines
lag?
now. So first stage and second stage fuel are complete. Liquid oxygen loading is continuing
what?
on both stages. You can see on the view on the left side of the
Alright.
monitor the condensation, the cold
That's
gas
filled it
wrapped
to the
around
brim.
the stages
Yep.
as the tank skins are chilled
Falcon
by
9 is
the
self-aligned.
densified liquid oxygen,
Ah.
picking up the humidity
Falcon
from
9
the
is
Florida air.
self-aligned.
You know, once the rocket launches,
Looks like at this moment we're a
once the
little more
rocket
than
launches,
90% full on the
just
oxidizer.
concentrate
on,
on
the
that
first stage,
little,
picking up
you know,
towards that 80% mark
what is it?
on the second
that
stage.
little mission control
counting down
view.
all the way
Falcon
to
9
Everyone
heaters closing out.
2 or
is
3 minutes, as
literally
John
going
just
to
said, and
start dancing
everything
there.
is loaded in
Falcon 9
Falcon
heaters
9,
closing out.
and
If
then
you-
we will be go for launch.
If you watched previous Falcon launches, you know what happens there after it launches.
Our
Strong
terminal
back
count. Vehicle tanks pressing for
If you're
strong
talking
back
about the
retract.
chat lag, well, that's you know, impreventable, or as you like to call it.
We're pressurizing the Falcon 9 tanks. We're going to open the
See, now the
clamp
whole
arm
rocket
around the
is
second
fume.
stage
Wait,
and begin to retract the strong back.
Hey.
We'll move back about 2 degrees.
That's
That'll
my
get us
dog.
to the liftoff position.
messing
At
up the
liftoff,
green screen.
the strong back will then recline about 45
Strong back
degrees
retract has
away.
started.
Wow.
Stage 2 RP1 bleed.
Nothing really happened, right? Yep.
Stage 2 RP1 bleed.
Launch director called out the strong
Wait,
back
you guys are
retract has
lagging. I'm not
started on
lagging.
the
That's
left.
bad.
You'll
I want
see it go
you.
back just a couple of degrees.
You guys are lagging.
Stage 1 RP1 bleed.
I'll show you guys something after this launch. Wait, I guess if I... No, I cannot. No.
We are just 4 minutes away
Yeah, movies
from
now.
lift off.
Wait.
Again, at
I'll
this
get
moment,
the
Bob and Doug
camera.
are really
Wait.
just laser focused on those displays.
Oh, wait.
They have insight
Yep.
directly into Dragon and the Falcon 9. They're able to see where their fuel loading
AFTS
is at.
final setup started.
Everything's progressing down with the count.
AFTS final setup started.
Hey, that's the best I've got now.
3.5 minutes from launch.
And the strong back is now reclining away from the Falcon 9.
There is that dog. You can see, if you can see him. This camera is not
MVAC
it
igniter
cannot go
purges.
that far.
MVAC igniter purges.
And I have to use it once my DSLR runs
Ogo
out.
bleed.
I know, I'm also joking, right?
Ogo bleed.
Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power. Dragon has
Stage 1
transitioned
lock
to
load
terminal
closed
power
Yeah,
and is on
actually I was
internal
going to get Optic
Stage 1
Fiber
lock
before
load
this
closed out.
lockdown. After the boats.
Okay,
But,
we're at T-minus 2 minutes,
life
42
sucks,
seconds.
right?
Stage 1 LOX load is closed out. Stage 2 will continue to load for about another half a minute or so. Once we get the completion of stage 2 LOX loading, we have to vent down the line, so you'll see another large white cloud
Vehicle is transitioning
coming off
to
of
internal
the
power.
strongback. That'll be normal. That'll happen
Vehicle
around
is transitioning to
T-minus
internal power.
1 minute and 40
He's not
seconds.
depressed, he's chilling.
We're going on
You
internal
don't,
power now.
you don't know him as well as I do. He's not depressed.
Seconds away from the stage 2 LOX load being complete. It's been almost 9 years since we've been in this position.
We're
A
getting
lot of work
desperately
done by
close to the
thousands
launch.
of people to get to this point. All our eyes focused on 2 now.
We're gonna begin with the pre-launch.
Stage
Wait,
2
what?
LOX load is closed out. Propellant
Wait,
fills
what's
are
that?
complete. Stage 2 LOX load is closed out. Propellant
literally,
fills
what
are
was
complete.
Dragon is in auto idle.
What was that? Hey,
Dragon is in auto idle.
you guys saw that, right? That water?
Stage 2 LOX load.
Dude, I have BSNL fiber
All
optics.
fuel,
I don't know
all
if it's fiber
oxidizer
optic or
on
not.
Falcon 9.
But
1 minute
Ground gas
34
closeout is
supposed to
seconds
be.
to go till
and
launch.
it sucks. It like
Ground gas closeout
it's
is
the worst.
starting.
It's the worst. It's the worst. We are beginning with pre-flight checks. Yep. And if it's go, it's a go. Yeah, we have one thing, right? At T-minus 45 with the launch.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
We're going to watch it. We're going to watch it.
is armed for launch.
Yeah, you can see the mission control, right?
Under a minute now, the FTS, the flight termination
Dragon,
system, has been
SpaceX,
armed.
go for launch.
The mission control video hasn't freed.
Dragon,
freeze,
SpaceX,
right?
go for launch.
Yep, we go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, we're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
We go for
T-minus
launch.
30 seconds.
We're lighting the candle. Come on, let's go.
T-minus
go.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Count it down, guys. Count it down. Yeah.
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds.
We're on with that.
Stage
We're on with
1
that.
tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus
We're
15
still on with
seconds.
that.
10,
Not tomorrow.
9, 8,
8, 7, 6,
5,
5,
8,
4,
7, 3,
what?
2, 5, 0, 4. Ignition.
3.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
America has launched.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
So rises a new era of American spaceflight,
Stage 1
and with
propulsion
it
is
the
nominal.
ambitions of a new generation.
Let's go, guys.
continuing to
We have a liftoff.
27
There's actually humans
stage
on that
one
rocket.
propulsion is
There
nominal.
are actual humans on that rocket. Let's go.
T plus 30 seconds into this
There
historic
are
mission.
literal humans on that rocket.
Flying crew on board Dragon and
There
Falcon
are
9, and look at them go.
Falcon power
There
M1D throttle
are
down.
actual humans on that rocket.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket.
Launching now.
Reports say all systems are go.
Vehicle is supersonic. Vehicle is supersonic.
We've exceeded Mach 1 on the Falcon 9.
M1D throttle up.
Hey, shut up, dude.
M1D
No.
throttle up.
No.
We're throttling back up to full power as we're through max Q.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug
Wow,
pulling
look at
about
that view, man.
2.3
Look at that
Gs,
view.
2.3 times the Earth's gravity, already moving at over 1,500 miles per hour.
We've heard the call out for MVAC engine chill. That's getting the MVAC engine ready to light. That'll come at about 2:44 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation.
You can
and
see
then
that
ignition of the
those
second
gases
stage
expanding,
engine to
right?
continue to
It means
carry
it's going really high up in the
astronauts into
atmosphere.
orbit.
Well, the atmospheric pressure is really low.
M1D
That's the
throttle down.
expansion.
Coming up in about 20 seconds.
M1D throttle down.
The first stage landing. We are going to see
We heard
first
we're
stage
throttling
come
down
back.
the Merlin engines on the first stage.
There are actual humans on that rocket at the first stage. Is going to come down and land on the drone ship. It has never happened before.
MVAC ignition.
Yep.
MVAC ignition.
Yeah, bro, yeah.
All right, we
Merlin
have
vacuum
stage
is
separation
go.
confirmed. The first stage beginning its flight back. The second stage being powered by that single Merlin 1D vacuum engine has ignited and is now carrying Bob.
There are
and
actual
Doug.
humans in that thing.
So they're going to continue under the
You guys
power of
think
this
I'm
second stage.
capping right now, but I still cannot believe there are actual humans in that thing. We used to see cargo on that rocket, and there are actual humans in that thing.
So a little over 5 minutes to go
Imagine
still
it. On a rocket like this, one day you could be going up there.
To Alpha, so they're now in the longest
I'm
abort
serious.
zone that carries them all the way from about North Carolina up the eastern seaboard, almost to Canada. Things looking good though.
Look at
good
that
call-outs,
HUD.
Nominal propulsion on that second stage. Bob and Doug
We
continuing
need
to
that in
make their
Call
way
of
into
Duty.
orbit.
We need that HUD. Heard.
Dragon SpaceX nominal trajectory. Dragon SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Hey guys, how do we change the status in Discord?
SpaceX Dragon nominal
Can someone
trajectory.
walk me through it?
All right, here in nominal trajectory, so Dragon pointed in the right direction, continuing to make their flight uphill. Heard acquisition of signal Bermuda. That's one of the other ground stations.
Stage 2 propulsion
that
is
they're
still
using to
nominal.
get telemetry and data back from this spacecraft.
Stage 2 propulsion is still nominal.
Guys, how do we change that status? On Discord. The one that comes below your name. I'm trying to do it. Can anyone explain it to me? All right.
A little over 4 minutes, 40 seconds into
Dragon
the flight.
SpaceX nominal
Bob
trajectory.
and Doug flying at more than 5,600 miles
Dragon
per hour.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Already almost 200 miles
Nominal
downrange
trajectory.
from the Kennedy Space Center. Nominal trajectory continuing.
Check your power, I guess. Switch. What? Okay. Yeah.
And while they continue uphill, looks like we are getting a view of the first
Yeah,
stage as
actually,
well.
I guess I should.
Yep, on your right screen, you can see that first stage with the
That
grid
first
pins
stage is coming
deployed. It's
down.
making its way back to
there were
attempt to
humans
land
riding on that
our
first
drone ship,
stage.
Of course, I Still Love You today. And we're just about a couple minutes away from the entry burn, and that's where 3 of the 9 Merlin engines do ignite to help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere.
I can hide
And
the
then
wind
after
patterns.
the
I guess.
entry burn will be the
trajectory.
landing
You're way
burn,
past
which
that
is
now.
just a single
Dragon
engine burn.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
And you heard
Dude, the first stage is coming back. Like, do you know how much that reduces the cost of launching those 2 guys up to ISS? It's almost 1.4% the cost of NASA. Like imagine that.
Again, on your right screen is that first stage booster coming back towards our drone ship. Of course, I Still Love You. We're about a minute away from entry burn.
Come on.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit. Again, if you're keeping an eye on that timer, that's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 44 seconds into flight. So a little over 2
Stage
minutes
2
from now,
propulsion
we'll
is
hear
still
the
good.
call out Seco. It'll then be a little
Stage 2
under, or a
propulsion
little
is still
over,
good.
a little over 3 minutes until Dragon physically
Dragon SpaceX
separates from the
nominal
second
trajectory.
stage of the Falcon 9 after the upper
Dragon
stage gets a
SpaceX
chance.
nominal trajectory.
Dragon copies, nominal trajectory.
Continuing to check in with Bob and Doug as they are on a nominal trajectory. Just about 10 seconds away from that first stage, starting that entry burn on your right screen. We should be able to see that view live.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And, Bob and Doug are like literally chilling up there.
Acquisition of signal, New Hampshire.
I'm so jealous of them
And
right
there
now.
is that entry burn
Acquisition of signal, New
beginning.
Hampshire.
Stage 2 FTS
This
is
burn lasts
saved.
about 36
Yep,
seconds
the
long.
booster is slowing down.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
It ain't gonna burn up there. Falcon don't burn. Falcon kill.
Well, that entry burn continues. We're just about a minute away from Seco. We'll have a number of events all happen.
We are almost at orbital velocities with the Dragon.
It'll be the second engine cutoff.
Stage
We'll
1
be
entry burn
looking
shut
for
down.
that stage 1
have-
landing burn shortly after.
Yeah, actually, just within a few seconds of each other. Such a cool view on your left screen, seeing Bob and Doug on Dragon.
Terminal guidance.
Right now you can see the displays that they are seeing
back
right
throttle
now
step.
themselves.
Terminal guidance.
Like, look at those.
And back throttle step.
I mean, imagine sitting in that rocket. That's
We
you
are
know,
coming up 25
how tin canish. If you look inside the Apollo capsules, the Gemini capsules, you don't know how tin canish those capsules were. And look at this. It's like a Rolls Royce flying up in the air, out of the Earth, not in air, outside Earth.
Land off the coast.
And back
The
throttle
Dragon
step.
is at
Standing by
orbital
for
velocity
stage
1 landing
cutoff
startup.
confirmation.
And back shut down.
at 27,000 kilometers an hour. Yep, we have orbit.
And back shut down. Stage 1 landing ladder.
Yep, at that altitude, that's fine.
Confirmation of Seco's second engine cutoff.
We
now we
are
waiting for our first stage.
Come on, it's going to land, it's going to land, it's going to land.
Drone ship, of course, I still love
Dragon
you.
SpaceX nominal orbital insertion.
Come on, come on.
Get confirmation nominal orbital.
It's coming down.
Nominal orbital insertion.
You can feel it shaking.
And what you're seeing on your screen is a live view of our drone ship, where our first stage will be coming down.
What? Okay, that
We
means
lost
the booster has
live view,
landed.
but
Wait.
We'll wait for confirmation of that landing shortly here.
Yep. We need to.
Falcon 9 first stage successfully landed.
And there
Yes!
you can see on your screen, Falcon 9 has
Acquisition of
landed.
signal, Newfoundland.
This is the first Falcon 9 to carry
Acquisition of signal,
humans to
Newfoundland.
orbit, so very exciting for us.
Like Falcon.
And as you can see on your right
Falcon
screen, Bob
9,
and Doug
humans,
are still making
humans,
their way to
Falcon
their
9.
targeted orbit.
M1D to recovery 1.
So exciting today.
M1D.
It doesn't stop.
It does not stop.
All right, we did hear again that call out. Good orbital
Yep,
insertion,
they
so that
are
means
in orbit. You can
Falcon
see
9 and
them
Dragon
floating.
right now exactly
Like
where
the,
they're
the
supposed to
vehicles
be.
are floating, right?
M1D to FRC on
They have 0G
And
there.
it's right at about
They're in
12
free
minutes
fall.
when Dragon will separate.
Yep, yep.
Looks like we saw
Oh.
a 0G indicator floating around there. I know Bob and Doug
You know,
told
like,
us a
get
little
my
bit about what
point.
exactly
Get
that is
my
that they brought
point.
up with them.
It's a Rolls Royce of crew capsules. Like, get my point. Alright?
Before separation, before Dragon initiates separation from the second stage, they do make sure to make, they do ensure that the vehicle is not spinning and it is in good condition before we separate.
That's right, the upper stage does small attitude maneuver using some cold gas thrusters built into the rocket body itself.
No. That's not my keyboard.
Exactly. So we do expect that separation
I have
to
a
occur in about
slider
a minute
for my
from
keyboard.
now,
That's not my
but
keyboard.
they do wait until they have full confirmation that it is ready to separate.
You're gonna come over to play FIFA. We're gonna see that, you know.
Such cool views.
What's up?
I cannot get over this view that we are seeing right now. Bob and Doug on the right screen, inside of Crew Dragon, out in space.
Yeah, already 200 kilometers over planet Earth, or a little over 124
Those guys
miles.
are literally
traveling in
free falling
excess
towards Earth.
Of
You know, it's like a
2,700 meters,
projectile motion
27,000
thing.
meters per second.
And that's why they have
or
0G.
about 16,000
Imagine
miles
that.
per hour. So again, we're just standing by. That separation event should be coming up shortly. Then they'll begin a series of checks on the Draco thrusters that are going to be
After
used
they
to
deploy, we are like
maneuver
done
and
for
then
today.
power Dragon on its flight to the International
Expected
Space
loss of
Station.
signal, wallops.
Standing by for separation.
Expected loss of signal, wallops.
Okay, the expected loss of signal.
It sounds like we had an expected LOS loss of signal with one of the ground stations.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Waiting
Yay!
for confirmation now of that.
Dragon's
separation
there!
confirmed.
Dragon separation confirmed.
There is a great view right in front of you of dragons separating.
Separation confirmed.
And there's that call out. Dragon is now officially making its way to the International Space Station today.
Heck yeah.
Dragon SpaceX with that.
Yep, I said
separation
projectile
call,
motion,
we have
right?
A few words for you from our Falcon 9 team.
Yep, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Standing by.
It's like you
Dragon,
threw Dragon
Chief
up
Engineer
there,
on Dragon to ground.
but you threw
Bob
it
Doug,
so
on behalf
hard
of the entire
sideways
launch team, thanks
that
for
it
flying
kept
the
on
Falcon
missing.
9 today.
Kept
We
on
hope you
missing
enjoyed the
Earth.
ride
That's
and
basically in orbit.
Wish you a great mission.
So for anyone who is just joining us now, and I guess there's someone joining us now, Dragon is deployed. It's making its
human ride for Falcon 9, and it was incredible. Appreciate all the hard work, and thanks for the great ride to space.
basically. Thanks, Scabby. I'll pay you after I get down. It was a great ride, and Dragon is on its way to dock with the ISS, and it will not berth. It will not berth. It'll use its RCS to guide itself to the ISS. No Canadarm. That's a first. That's a first. A lot of things that happened here are a first. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the HUD. HUD seems kind of lame, right? HUD. Yeah. Wait, how long till the next update? Let me see. All right. So the phase burn is actually really later into the launch. Yeah. That feels. Yeah, I remember. Actually, I remember everything about Sigma. It was way better. You know, Google actually, wait, I'm streaming on Google, so I shouldn't be saying this, but Google actually removed about 1 million TikTok reviews, and that again, you know, boosted the review up. Yeah.
And such cool views.
Indians
I love that we
basically
can get
make it
these
feel wide.
live views here and see and watch what they're doing now that they are in orbit.
Yeah,
They got a float.
incredible to
They
just
got a
be
float
looking
in the
over their
Dragon.
shoulder.
Are they not?
To be along for the ride.
You guys remember that
And
stuff
we're gonna be
Earth
with
they had,
them, and we're gonna
which
be with all of you
in
the
DM back in
entire
DM1,
way,
which used to float
for their
where we
journey
had
to the
0G.
space station. We're going to be covering
I
live
wish they had.
throughout. Bob and Doug will obviously have a sleep period where they'll get about 8 hours of sleep a little bit later today before they wake up for all of their final.
They get more sleep than I do, and they are aboard a freaking spaceship. Like, imagine that.
We'll walk you through what that's going to look like, and assuming we have some good ground station coverage, we'll be
Look
able
at
to
the
get
view.
views
Look at the
right inside
That's Dragon up there.
looking
That's
over
Dragon.
their shoulder as they manipulate the controls at the display. But I mean, we had a smooth
No
ride
doubt.
uphill both
It's all a
stages of the
hoax.
Falcon 9 doing their
I
jobs,
can literally
placing
see a
Bob and
flat
Doug in
out up
orbit.
there.
I mean, this is a day. This is a historical day. This is us
Oh, it's
kicking
flat.
off that new era of space flight that we've all been talking about and longing for
Which
since
one?
the space shuttle program came to an end in 2011.
Yeah.
And the weather cooperated.
Yes, second time's a charm.
Right.
All right, so day for the history books. As you can see, we have
Right.
lost some live signal there, but the mission still continues, and
Yeah.
we're going to send it over to KSC to continue broadcasting live with you guys.
So these guys actually are in Texas. There's the
Yeah, Jesse and Dan, we are just in awe
Yeah.
over here. When I
McGregor,
woke up this
Texas.
morning and looked at the weather forecast, I was like, man, we're going to be back here on Sunday, but we did it.
did
And
it.
the room cleared out. Everybody was outside watching, and And inside, the lights were
Yeah.
shaking, the cameras were shaking. Lauren came back in with tears in her eyes. This is really amazing.
I can't believe it. I saw it with my own eyes. This is, I'm a little bit speechless. Just so grateful that we got them up there, and there's a lot more to go. But I'm so happy they're safe right now. I'm just so happy.
Yeah. Leland, you were talking about it. It's amazing what we can do when we work together.
Yes, American astronauts on an American rocket from American soil, showing you what Americans can do when we come together as a team and blast Doug and Bob off to the cosmos. This is what it's all about, and their families and everyone is working together to take them up to space safely. So I don't know what to say. That rocket fuel is still in my veins. And
no. Thing is that since SpaceX and NASA are collaborating, the mission control for Falcon 9 is actually at their mission control and at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Alright? Where's the wind pattern? Yep. You can see this. This is Florida. Alright? From where space shuttles launched and from where the Apollo missions launched. Now the reason is that the orbital inclination of ISS had to be set precisely so that even Russians could launch to that, and the Americans could launch to that. So Baikonur Cosmodrome and this Kennedy Space Center both once in a while, come under the orbital path of ISS. That's the thing.
Predecessor is the NASA administrator. He fought hard for this program at a time when it
SpaceX
didn't
is
get
at
any
their
support
base
in
at
Congress.
McGregor, Texas,
We now have an
and these guys
administration that is fully supportive of
Florida.
our
Launch Complex
space flight
B.
initiatives, not just on the exploration, discovery, going to the moon, onto Mars, but also from a Space Force perspective. Our budgets are going up, things are strong.
Yeah,
and today
actually.
was just just an amazing day. One of the things the president did right out of the gate when he became president is he created what's called the National Space Council, and he put the vice president as chairman of the National Space Council. And
By
on
the
that
way,
National Space Council, you've got the Secretary of Defense,
Political
Secretary of
placement
Secretary of Commerce,
on a
Secretary of
space
Transportation,
stream.
Secretary of Education.
Political
the
placement
Chairman of the Joint
on a
Chiefs,
space
all of these
stream.
different, amazing individuals that deal with space
Yep.
day in and day out. A lot
Even
of people don't
I
realize
had a
how
great
many
time with
parts
you
of the federal government deal with
guys.
space.
Yeah.
And the vice president invited those members of the National Space Council
Come home,
here as
play
well.
FIFA.
So,
Let's go.
we
Play
just had-
FIFA.
and then we had members of Congress, bipartisan members of Congress,
So,
Republicans and Democrats,
I guess I'm gonna call
who
it
have been
off.
involved in supporting this program.
Yep.
He's
gonna rant about random shit,
now. So
which I don't care
I'll
about.
just tell you, I'm breathing a
So-
sigh of relief. But I will also tell you, I am not going to
Liberty?
celebrate until Bob and Doug are home safely. Tomorrow, they're going to dock to the International Space
Bobby D.
Station. Tonight, I'm heading to Houston to be at the Johnson Space Center when that happens. So it's a bit of a relief. The nose cone is now open. It's now deployed, which means that now we're going to go into some burns. We're gonna have some phasing burns.
So,
we're going to have some.
I'm gonna cut it off.
Some, boosting burns, and we're gonna
shut up. Yep, he shut. Yep, I made him shut up. And adios.
Send